Hello, everyone. You're listening to Northern Flights, a Park Pro podcast keeping you up to date with the people, tournaments, and culture of disc golf in Canada and beyond. Consider becoming a Patreon today at patreon.com/parkpro. Find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by DiscGolfPark. And now your hosts, Andre, Jesse, and Matt.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? We're back.
They can't answer you. There's no point in asking them how they're doing.
That's what the comments on the YouTubes are for.
Okay.
Tell us how you're doing.
What are you doing?
How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Another day living the dream in the Rockies here. And just busted out some baskets from my shed, set them up, did some practice putting for the first time.
Nice.
Nice is probably a stretch, but it was nice to do it for sure.
Yes. That's more what I was saying. It's nice to feel that practice.
Yeah, totally. Just showing you, giving you that baseline, trying to hit a consistent putting routine in the next couple of weeks because our season's starting soon.
Real soon. I was just thinking about that, actually. We'll get to that in a little bit. But first, Matt, how are you doing?
I'm also doing great. I haven't practiced a frickin' thing. I played a really fun round out there at Rundle again, and didn't hit my personal best this week, but can't do that every time. And the weather's getting nicer out here. It's feeling like it's disc golf season soon. We're transitioning from snow and ice season to mud season very, very quickly. The courses go from like, oh, it's slippery because of the ice to, oh, there's puddles everywhere and mud everywhere. So we're getting to that point, and it's really exciting. And it's nice to go outside when the sun is out and you can actually feel the heat.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We got out to Pine Ridge, actually, which is nice. Little tree course that we have here that's been encroached on by developers and not the other way around, obviously. Mm-hmm. It was great. It was kind of nostalgic. As soon as we got baskets in the valley, I feel like that kind of went by the wayside, that little course, but it is a fun little track. And it's where I got my first ace. So even if it was on a tree, I still count it. Cool.
Tree aces matter.
They do, especially when you've only been playing for a couple years and you get one. So,
well, honestly, that little course it's all about the shape of the fairways too.
Yes.
So hitting it perfect tee to green is just as big an accomplishment there as anyone.
Yeah. I'll remember
Jesse,
that shot.
I have a question. When you practice putting, do you practice staggered stance? Do you practice?
I haven't intentionally stagger putt in 3 years. So I'm always straddle putting because I find, one, it works for me really well. I get lined up nicely, generate power, blah, 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 all the good stuff about putting. And I find that it's easier to adapt to tough course conditions with a straddle. There are times where between two trees or something funky, you got to get those legs in a straight line. But I think more often than not, you got a little more utility out of straddle.
I am so with you, and I wish that I had only straddle putted when I started playing. I wish somebody had said, you're always going to want to have a straddle putt, and if you have a good straddle putt, then you'll have a putt for every occasion. I wish somebody had told me that.
Yeah, I think
now
people
I have to practice straddle putting.
Yeah, I think people that normally stagger putt don't generate a lot of power naturally when they start to do the straddle thing. So it's good for like inside 20 or whatever for obstructed in the circle. But I can straddle putt, jump putt about 110 feet. Gives you some kind of crazy approach game stuff you can do with it too. And then you can really scare the basket from 80 and in or so with a putt like that. Don't feel like I've lost anything. A lot of guys say they struggle, like I said, with generating that power or without falling forward or doing something weird. It's just a timing thing. You'll get used to it if you practice it a lot. Definitely not natural, but it's good.
Yeah, and it's funny with the whole circle two people saying they don't get the power because you look at Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones is a straddle putter, and they don't call him jump putt Jones for nothing. So
Yeah, a lot of his and a lot of everybody's putt comes from their legs.
Yeah,
Kevin's especially, and he gets really low and extends. Mine's a lot more upright, not quite like the Sexton straight up and down little spin move that he does. Somewhere kind of in between the two, and I think you can get a lot out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of people need that weight shift in their head to be back foot to front foot for the push, where if they're thinking heels to toes, you don't have a lot of balance. It's not terribly comfortable that way. So you need to find a way to use your legs without your legs tripping you up.
Yeah.
Once you get that rhythm, you're off to the races.
Yeah, I think for the longest time, it's funny because I'm not a good putter, but for the longest time, I struggled with figuring out how to incorporate my legs into even just a stagger putt. And then I was actually out with my wife when she was pregnant, and we were at the hospital in Cranbrook waiting for baby to come out, and we just went out and played around, and I just decided my putting was way off, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna putt like Kevin Jones does on this whole course. And then I just exaggerated everything with my legs, and I was like, oh, that's how you use your legs. And then I've been able to incorporate that into my regular putt, and I'm still a terrible putter, but I'm better than I was before. So
yeah, like maybe kind of a last thing on that. I think a lot of people, when they start using their legs, they start expecting it to feel like it's coming out of their hand a lot faster. Mm-hmm. When your hands is just kind of doing the same thing. And if you actually do that like soft putting motion with no legs and soft putting motion with a lot of push from your legs and compare how far the two discs have gone, you're going to get like another 10, 15 feet without really having an indicator out of your hand that, oh, wow, this is a rocket or anything like that. So it's something you need to pay attention to. But
yeah, I mean, one only needs to look at how Kristen Tatar putts to realize how versatile.
Yeah, like she putts standstill from like 45 feet.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
like she got her legs splayed out super wide, and it's just like, oh, like I'm gonna pull one of my few remaining core muscles just thinking about it.
Yeah, she's probably a little more flexible than you are, but
could be. Also, she's a very professional athlete.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And what kind of distances do you practice putting from, Jesse? Are you doing stations? Are you just picking a spot and then picking another spot? Are you throwing a bunch of discs on the ground and then just throwing them in from wherever they land?
I'll do a couple things just to stay engaged. I think if you do the same thing and you're not having a good time with your practice, you're not going to practice. And I am one of the people that does not practice typically. So if you start getting bored of the same thing, change it up. So for me, I put 2 baskets. I have 10 baskets. I put 2 at about 25 feet apart because I think that's a good motion for putting in general. If you want to putt from further, incorporate more legs, something like that, where you're aiming and your motion is going to be the same. I think a little bit closer than that, it's a little bit different thing, especially for someone that putts high to low, a little pitchier. You're not getting the full shape out of the disc. You're just kind of pushing it in there. You're not using that full putting motion. So go to a place like that, 25, and I set 2 baskets apart. So I just walk back and forth, not a lot of pickup time. And then I'll walk back to maybe like 70 feet outside circle 2 and do like a couple sets of 10, maybe 20 putts total, big jump putts, and then focusing on making all the comebackers as well. So that way I get my 5-foot putt in, I get my 10-foot putt in, I get whatever, and still get to get that rhythm when I really need to push it out there. But
cool.
Yeah,
smart.
Tell what if out there in YouTube land, Spotify land, Apple Podcast land, let us know what your practice routines are, because I don't really have one, so I'd love to develop one this summer.
Yeah, I will say game situation putting and backyard practice putting are 2 very different things. Like you might not make more putts from practicing that stroke from 25 feet right away. It's more about getting the motion down, and then you need to really focus on routine and things like that, making sure that you're lined up for every individual putt. So before I move on to something else other than my own talking, my one pro tip would be that even if you're putting a stack of 10 putters, unless you're trying to get a specific hitch out of like your arm motion, you should always make one putt, leave, and reapproach your lie. Even if you just walk like a 2-foot circle and spin back to it, then reset up, go through your routine, re-putt. Because as soon as you go from rapid fire putting and then you get back on the course and start taking deep breaths, and now your routine's totally changed, your prep for your putt's totally changed. It's not going to translate the way you think it is. So treat your practice like a game sitch.
You practice your first putts. You don't need to practice a second putt because you'd never get a chance at it.
Yeah,
unless you went OB.
Yep.
And what kind of baskets are you putting on in that backyard of yours?
I know, but those aren't the ones.
Well, just pretend. Come on, this is all showbiz here, Jesse.
I know it's all showbiz, but I'll tell you the truth. I wish I had a disc golf park basket in my backyard, because one thing I do find is that practice quality baskets, the poles are a bit thinner, the bands are a bit skinnier, the chains are lighter. You're not going to get the same reaction off the chains as a pro basket. And even like for aiming at them, say you've got a basket that has less chains than a 28 chain basket does, you might be picking a specific chain, looking for specific gaps, things about color, the way the light reflects off them, everything matters. So I have one gateway basket, which is a course quality basket. If you played BC Open back in the day, you've put on them. They're terrible. It's like a 28 chain disc catcher, but they made the cage like 2 inches smaller in diameter. So a lot of like putts at the edge will just fall out and not go in. Drives people nuts. I think there's coverage of our friend of the podcast, Casey Hannemeyer, maybe 2018, 2019 BC Open. No, 2018 BC Open. I think he has like 6 chain outs in one round on coverage on those baskets. Gross. I've got 1 MVP black hole, and I've got 8 Discraft Chain Star lights, because I made like a fun backyard course at the farm. But yeah, there ain't no disc golf park baskets, but they're fun in a pinch, and they're cheap in more ways than one.
I went to Canadian Tire today.
Nice.
Not today, the other day. And they had baskets and discs here in Invermere.
Are they like a weird off-brand China thing?
It's Matrix. Is like that's like the Canadian Tire brand is Matrix. So I don't even think the discs are PDGA approved, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think I got like knockoff Matrix spike ball one time. Don't. Like, for the disc golf thing, and the people listening, they're obviously, anyone that's listening knows about disc golf enough to know that your Canadian Tire basket's not going to be the same. Maybe if you want to pick up a couple cheapies for the cabin or, the backyard, but don't expect them to be able to last in the weather outside or anything.
And that's what I was going to say. My brother, he got, when he works in Winnipeg at quote unquote up north, as they would say. And when they were in camp at one point, he bought 3 Canadian Tire baskets so that he could take his coworkers out just to play around at the camp. So
that's pretty cool of your brother.
Yeah.
I love the initiative.
Yeah. But he brought them home, and we put them in my parents' backyard for a little backyard course. And like you said, they're cheap baskets. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But if that's what you want, if you're looking for something, it's a sign that the sport is getting bigger. If you want something more serious, obviously go for a disc golf park basket, because they're great.
Yeah, and maybe another thing on this, like those Discraft Chain Star lights that I have, like for the money, they're fantastic, but they sat outside for only 4 months, and the threads on every connection are rusted, and they're not meant to be out there. So if you want to have a basket to leave in your backyard all the time, show up, not be worried about it, get a permanent course quality basket. There are lots of them that are like intro course quality baskets.
And we'll just cover up this little.
I know, because that's the type, almost identical to the one I had, or the 8 that I have that rust.
Yeah.
Get something that's galvanized. Get something that's meant to be outside. You get what you pay for. If you want to have it for 10 years, buy a permanent quality basket.
There you go. There's your long-winded intro to the podcast.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. We got a lot to talk about. We got some news and notes. We're going to talk about Austin. Open at Austin happened last week. The Texas States is this week. That's a Silver Series, and we'll just give you a little update on what's going on in the Canadians on tour. So, why don't we just jump into some local news here first? Rescue Ratings is almost here. We just talked about how the season's upon us. Cranbrook, for us locally here, Jesse and I are based in Invermere, BC. Cranbrook, BC will be the first stop of the Rusty Rating Series. If you're not signed up and you're from the area, or if you would like to just, knock the rust off, this is a good opportunity to get in for a lower rate than what you'd normally do. It's $30 for all divisions, and AMs will walk away with a disc or a gift card to Limber Disc Golf. So definitely worth checking out. And then there's also stops at Raven's Nest the week after that. And then it is Casey's tournament, which is a 2-day tournament back down in Cranbrook. And then the weekend after that, we go up to Golden, and we'll be there for that weekend. Hopefully no snow up there by then, but hopefully no snow in Cranbrook. But
the college and Golden, one thing they have in common is they're super shaded, so they hold ice late.
But we'll see. And then to wrap it up, there's not that many people signed up for it, but the Rusty Paddle is taking place at the, what's it called? Up the Creek? Is that what the course is called?
Up the Creek is the course, and it's at the Columbia
Wetlands Outpost.
Ooh, almost synchronized.
Yeah. This is a great opportunity for people to come check out a brand new course to the Valley. It's going to be awesome. It was designed by Matt at DiscGolfPark. And I've heard nothing but good things. I haven't played it yet. I'm excited to go out, check it out. I'm probably going to try to get up there a week or so beforehand and see what the course is like myself. And then, but this is kind of your best opportunity to, it's not fully complete yet as far as I understand. There's probably a few trees to come out and whatnot. So this is a good chance to get in and, play it and see what it's like to help develop a new course. So,
yeah, I've been up there twice, and I've played about half of the total holes, I think, now. And yeah, don't sleep on it. It's based on what I saw, it's likely to become the best course in the region, or close to. It's got more like fun than Nipica, but not quite as gimmicky as Raven's Nest.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fits somewhere in the middle. Lots of elevation, hiking up and down, stuff like that. It's still, Rocky Mountain disc golf, but it's going to be cool. I think of all the Rusty spots we can go to, that's the one I'm most excited for. Maybe because I've played the other courses a bunch, but
yeah, same.
Like big shots over gullies, like they've really used the land to showcase the mountain side of it too. And yeah, I'm excited.
And if you're worried about the travel to get there, I do believe they are opening up camping for that weekend. I'm not sure how much it's going to cost or how that's all going to work, but those details will be released in the coming weeks. So,
yep, lots of camping. And as per the still trees to cut, I'm sure they're fine tuning it, but the owner has like a full team of forestry workers, and the fairways that I played were impeccable. Like trees cut out, stumps ground, grass seed put back where it's going, like that level of care is going into it. So yeah, don't be scared that it's going to be dirty slogging through the trees kind of thing. It will be a prepared disc golf course by the time the tournament comes around.
Yes, very exciting stuff.
Matt Reardon knows his disc golf. He knows his disc golf theory, and he also knows fun. So I would totally believe that whatever course he's involved in is going to be a good time.
Totally.
He's a student of the game, and he also knows what's fun about disc golf. That's a great combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely lots of fun to be had, like I said, with those over the gully shots. There's some spots where we're talking about your disc falling 50, 60 feet down into that deep of a gully. But when I was there, they were putting up nets to catch them so they don't fall the way to the bottom. You get the nervousness of going over without having to do an absolute mission to go get your disc. So they're thinking of all of it. It will be a lot of fun.
That's super cool.
Very cool. So sign up for your Rusty Ratings events as soon as you can. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be a blast doing this April again. So, and leagues are starting up. I've seen a number of leagues pop up on some of the Facebook groups I'm a part of. So I just wanted to remind our listeners to check out your local club, check out their Facebook group, Instagram page, whatever. They're starting up throughout Canada, and if they're not started up, they're being planned. That's what Jesse and I are going to chat about a little bit about what nights are going to work best for our local league here after the podcast. Just make sure you check it out. It's a great way to get out and get to know other disc golfers if you're new to the sport, and it's a pretty welcoming community almost no matter where you go. So definitely check that out. All right. Some bigger news is that there has been a minor shuffle at the top of the Canadian ratings leaderboard.
Do you have it up so you can see where he's sitting?
Yes,
Should get that up.
I will get it up right now. But why don't you break the news here, Jesse?
Well, our dear friend and former co-host Max finally decided to get a Canadian flag on his PDGA page instead of that silly blue and yellow one he had going on there. Yeah, which means his location's changed for the PDGA.
Yeah, and that means he's definitely in the top 10
Maybe
as far as
top 5 even.
I think he's close. It depends on if you go by active or not.
Yeah, there's not too many 1,000 rated players from Canada.
Yeah.
Right now.
No.
I can think of 3 I know that are ahead of him.
Yeah, Thomas, Marty, Chris.
And that's it that I can think of. Andrew Leyland, Stu McKissick,
Chris Oz sneaking in 1,000 as well.
Yeah.
And then there's Max. So he's currently, that's
8th or so.
8th.
And I believe he's changing his name from Max Forgetnig to Mike Rogers, right? Is that just a rumor?
I think that's just a rumor.
I think that's a rumor
okay.
you just made up, maybe. Even.
Okay, he's just being Canadian. Okay, no problem.
Yeah. If you're new to the podcast and you haven't checked out our previous episodes, we've been chatting about Max. Jesse and I have been chatting about Max for the last year. He is originally from Invermere, but also from like a bunch of different places.
He was born here. And lived here through like most of his young boy school age. He flew across and his mom got a sweet gig in Jersey. I spent a couple of years there, came back, finished high school here, went to UVic, and then ended up bumping over to Sweden to play volleyball and do other cool guy stuff.
Yeah, and so he's had that Swedish flag beside his name. So if you've been in tune with people touring that are Canadian, you probably didn't see his name pop up because he had that Swedish flag. He officially changed it.
Yep.
Just yesterday, I believe. So
I wonder if there'll be a shuffle at the top of that leaderboard if Max plays well this season, which in the last tournament he did.
Yeah. Well, we can get into that right now. Why don't we get into the Open at Austin? Canadians showing decently strong. Thomas Gilbert also had a decent showing. He threw pretty consistently for all 3 rounds. Didn't quite get up into, where's his name here? 25th. There he is, 25th. But he was only a stroke back from being tied for...
It's 19th.
19th. Man, I need my glasses updated, apparently.
I am a Hawkeye. Don't you worry, pal.
And he had like a pretty hot round to end the tournament, right? I think he was one of the few 10 downs.
Yes, like his round 3, he had a really good round 3, so.
Yeah, 51. Not too shabby. That ties Gannon Burr's final round score, and he took the tournament down, so it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah, it was a final round was rated 1069. So, and his first round was rated 1044, so that's pretty decent as well. Yeah, so that's that. Thomas did really well down there, and then Max, he also did pretty good. His first 2 rounds went better than his last round, but yeah,
47th. He scrolled past.
There he is right there.
Averaging above his rating significantly, though. Like, I'm not sure if that's... Did he make the cash line?
I'm not sure either, actually. That's a good question.
You got it zoomed in so far for your... Yeah.
Yes.
$50 for
nice.
Max. Yeah. 1023, 1029, 1006. For a 1,000 rated guy, that's all pretty significantly above his rating other than that last round. And I think that last round was on par with his other rounds. That would have put him, well, based on that, yeah, maybe in the $500 range. That's crazy. 2-3 strokes takes you from $50 to $500.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And Thomas Gilbert is going to be at the TCO again this year.
That is true.
And pretty cool. And Jesse Tamalti. Also
Jesse Tamalti, yeah.
And you know who else is going to be there? This is a throwback to, I think, the first episode that I was on. Kim Scott Wood.
Right.
The 1025 rated player out of Toronto, is going to be at the TCO.
Yeah, I saw that. That's exciting.
I haven't seen Kim play because I think he was taking it pretty easy. Every time I went over to Ontario, he's playing a little bit less, stuff like that. But seems like he's taking it fairly seriously because I want to say his rating took like a 15-point jump just this year alone to get up to that highest rated spot. I'm sure if you were to click on that profile, click ratings history, you would see that he's put the Jets on since he started playing again.
Yeah, he's had 8 rounds used in 2022, which was not a lot, but I think he must have crushed those rounds because, his rating jumped up like 12 points, which is hard to do when you're starting from 10-13. So must have had a couple of pretty good tournaments.
Yeah, I'm trying to use this Mac mouse magic. It's scary for a PC guy. Yeah, he went from 10-13 to 10-25.
Pretty significant jump.
Yeah, between October of 2021 and so a full year, 2021 to 2022, and that's probably his all-time highest rating.
Best player in Canada.
Yeah, he's had his moments.
Are we sleeping on the best player in Canada at this current moment?
Looking at it here, he's been 10-20 or higher in different times since 2013.
Yeah,
he's been over 1,000 rated
since 2006.
Yeah, since like 2006 is when he broke it. The guy's been around, and he's not going anywhere by the looks of it.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to watch. You know who else is going to be there? Park Pro.
My Parked Bros.
So, we'll have coverage of that one. And obviously, it's as we have announced already, it's the first stop of the Canadian Disc Golf Tour. So time to start getting excited for that because we are approaching the 1 month until TCO. So
that's why I started practice putting.
Got to get on coverage.
Not even that, just MacArthur Island is a putter's course more than a thrower's course.
That's
I find.
true.
And if you're not making those circle one putts, you are not making an impact at that tournament.
Also, you got to come on the podcast and explain how you did.
Yeah, I know. I have to tell the world.
So when we ask you how you're doing, there's no escaping it.
I'm working so hard on my positive attitude about everything too.
Good.
I think I'm happier in general, but I also developed an eye twitch, which might be my brain lying to my face saying that I'm happy, but
you know what it is? It's because you haven't used these muscles in your upper cheek area very, very much. So it's like it's creating a strain on the muscles around your eye. Your face muscles are like, "What are you doing? We haven't had to work in 20 years.
Them cheeks are heading upwards. What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
Ever since you took up disc golf."
Yeah.
Funny. Back to Austin. Open at Austin, though. We can go over the results here. Gannon takes it down with a solid third round. He charged up and took it from the chase card, I believe, which is, awesome to see.
Absolutely.
Another chase card win. So
I'm so impressed by how well his head has been on his shoulders in the wake of all the lawsuit going on. For his performances to be this good with all the drama surrounding him, it's really, really impressive to see, especially for a young guy.
He looked rattled at the All-Star event because it had just come out in the media like that day, which is understandable. Like if you've ever been sued or threatened with a lawsuit, it's extremely stressful when you don't really know what's going to happen. It sucks. And after that, he just sort of went back to normal Gannon Buhr. And for an 18-year-old, that's unbelievably impressive. Yeah,
it's crazy. Finishing second, might be one of my favorite top threes that we've had in a while. Finishing second is Simon Lizotte, and tied for third is James Proctor and Calvin Heimberg. So that's really cool to see. Lizotte obviously is starting to get the hang of his disc. I think he was putting pretty decently. I actually didn't catch much of the action myself. I was out on a little ski trip on Sunday, so I missed the last round. But yeah, awesome to see his name up the leaderboard.
Yeah, and if you're correct in saying that Gannon won from the chase card, based on the first two scores, that means nobody in the top three was on the lead card.
I think Heimberg who was it? No, it was McMahon, Fino. I'm trying to go off
Those
memory
two for
here.
sure.
I can't remember who else was on the lead card. Paul Macbeth. And that's all I got.
I'm working so hard to read this list fast as I can, but
That's all right.
It probably would have been Cole. Nope, because he would have been tied as well. Maybe one of those guys
Cole was on the lead card. I think Calvin was on the. No, he was on. Yeah, Calvin was on the lead card going into the final round.
Because it would have been tied up a bunch, and one of them probably,
Yeah.
got bumped down based on PDGA number. Because Cole Riddell in second round, 49, 1084. Not too shabby.
And he looks the part.
Yes.
Out there.
Heimberg, McMahon, Makala, and Radalin were on the lead card.
So the tie probably broke by the previous round score with
Yeah.
Riddell having the hot round. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And we're 3 events into the Disc Golf Pro Tour in the States, and no wins for Paul Macbeth, no wins for Ricky Wysocki. Obviously,
Only like
out with an injury.
not even a real tournament played for Rick yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Going straight back to
So
time off. Yeah.
So we're getting to see, the depth of the field here, and I really enjoy it. Kevin Jones pops up and almost wins at Las Vegas. Like, I sort of missed seeing him on the lead card. Ezra Aderhold tied for second and then placed 6th at Austin. James Proctor, like you mentioned. Adam Hammis. Like, we get to see different people. That's fun.
I want Proctor to win something so bad so they can hear his nickname on coverage. You know what they call him, right?
No.
It's the Vanilla Gorilla, isn't it? Maybe I'm talking out of my hindquarters here, but I am certain that James Proctor is the Vanilla Gorilla.
That's funny.
That's information you're only going to get here on Northern Flights.
Yeah.
Over in the FPO, Paige Peirce gets her first win of the season. Katrina Allen finishing second. Jessica Weiss and Missy Gannon rounding out the top 3. So top 4 technically, I guess, but tied for third is Jessica and Missy. So
Yeah, Jessica Weiss popping off. I did see some highlights on Instagram of her like hitting the base of the basket from 350 out with a sidearm.
yeah, I saw that one on round 2. It was
Just
great.
low worm burner, just lasered it, which means if she gets more airspace to flex something out, that's like a 400-foot sidearm. That's pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
Teach me your ways, Miss Weiss.
Yeah,
She's still got that power, sidearm and backhand too. She's like, I'd say maybe with Evelina, the most ambidextrous player on tour in FPO.
Well,
Like the highest.
directional,
ambidextrous.
whatever you call that. Yeah,
The forehand is the left hand. But I think she also wasn't it Jessica Weiss that was like played left-handed when she had an injury.
Oh boy,
I think a year or 2 ago she also played left-handed. For
highly
forehand
possible.
shot.
Not something I remember, but highly possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's had some inconsistent finishes, but she's still an elite player when she puts it together. It's much like her partner Garrett Gerthy. If the putter's on, it's on, and she's playing great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of nice to see someone that wasn't necessarily a top 1, top 3 FPO maybe ever in their career, but has just stuck with it, love of the game, and is still showing up at the top of the leaderboard after such a long career. Really impressive.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean we're gonna talk a little fantasy later on, but Jessica Weiss was just dropped prior to this tournament in our league. So.
Okay, let's move on, Andre.
That was mad.
Yeah, we can move on though because the big news is Kristen Tatar finishes in a tie for 5th, which breaks her podium streak.
That went back to 2021.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's been some longer streaks in the past, but that was when it was a different game back then. There wasn't as much competition. It's obviously been crazy this year. So
Juliana Corver is a G, and you should not disrespect her on this podcast ever.
Oh no, I was actually I wanted to talk about her in a little bit, but
yeah, you look at Kristen, like 2 great rounds. tournament winning rounds, or close to anyway. And then a 929 rated final round, kind of proving that she's still human and she has off days too, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of Juliana Corner, I don't know if you guys caught any of the coverage, but she was doing some of the commentary for the FPO side, and I actually really enjoyed her commentary as well. I thought she brought a good, knowledgeable aspect to the commentary. I'm personally not the biggest fan of Ian, so it kind of offset that a little bit. Sorry, I like Ian. I'm not the biggest fan of his commentary.
I love Ian. He's so happy.
Yeah. Oh, he is, definitely.
That guy is everything I'm not, and he just heals me a little bit every time he talks. He's like childishly excited to be there.
That's true.
And I love that.
He just loves disc golf. When I started playing disc golf, like I was a big Central Coast guy just because like between him and Jomez was still pretty early on in those days. Like he and his channel captured the spirit of disc golf, I thought, in a more fun way and just kind of a more true to life way. And he's just hasn't really changed at all. And Jomez decided to go all professional.
Yeah, that old Central Coast theme music, it's so stuck in my head.
The best.
I hit like a big putt and my brain goes like, I'm jacked to be actually naturally high. Yeah, and even Ian with his co-hosts and stuff, I'm just like giving Ian the biggest kiss right now, but he's just like excited. It's like he's meeting his hero when he talks to them. It's like, and what did you think of that, Andre? And you can like, in his voice, he's like panting like a puppy is how I imagine him talking to this person he's sharing it with. And I just love that enthusiasm that he brings to it.
I agree, it's great, but as far as when the coverage is going on, my understanding is he's playing host, and then someone like Julianne is the color commentary. So Ian is hosting and doing the play-by-play, and I just find that, you know, and maybe that's part of his job, is he asks a lot of questions on like he asked his partner for input and whatnot, and maybe that's just his partners need to get more involved naturally. But I always find, like, even listening to Falcon's Flight a couple of years ago, it was almost like every other thing that he said was a question for Howie, I believe.
Yeah, I get that too. And it's kind of annoying when you're looking for a little bit more than that. But in the case of Falcons, you have to assume this is a man who's never seen the course before. Yeah. Doesn't know the shapes, doesn't know the players, kind of has to lean on a co-host there. In a DGPT context, it's definitely not as necessary. But again, there's probably a slew of reasons for it. Like, how often is Juliana on coverage?
Not very often.
Not very often. Yeah. So now it's more of like showcase Juliana. Make sure that her input is heard and she gets all of her opinions out and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Where maybe someone that they commentate more frequently with, like a Philo type person who he's done a lot with recently, that tones down a little bit, or just like trying to defer to a professional. Ian's not a pro disc golfer with pro disc golf experience, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think, like, even on the Pro Tour, I don't think he's going out and playing these courses. So he's often relying on his co-host to have played the course in a practice round. Like Juliana went out and played that course at Austin.
Yes.
And there's kind of no substitute for having like hands-on experience at a course.
Well, and that was kind of what made this tournament so interesting, is that no one really knew what to expect from the course. Just generally, what were you guys' thoughts on the course itself, and how it played for both MPO and FPO?
You should probably ask somebody that watched.
You know what? I am not super picky about courses. I actually don't love the wide open ball golf style courses for watching, just because it's when the disc is in the air, you know it's not going to hit a tree because it's just wide open airspace. So I don't find a lot of the like wide open ball golf courses that interesting. I thought they did a pretty good job with this one. And you hear the complaints that the players had about it. And as a viewer, like none of those complaints really registered with me, because if the complaint is this is an impossible shot, I'm like, great, let's see if someone can do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you got to hit a perfect drive through the woods on 17. It's this like ludicrously treed hole. And if I was playing, I would absolutely complain about that hole. But as a viewer, I'm like, well, let's find out if someone actually does it. Someone's going to do it.
And like I said, the only thing I actually did watch was maybe the front 9 of the Jomez practice round because I was interested in seeing the course from ground level, and they complained about like every other hole the whole way through.
Yeah.
And funny enough, when like the things they complained about, when you watch the lead cards play it, never really struggled with what they were complaining about. And maybe it's, the course isn't just for the lead card. The course is for the whole field. But I think there needs to be more separators and more things that showcase specific skills. Because if it's a course where you have to make a mistake to have separation, then it just becomes, like you said, the wide open Heiser Olympics who can put it to 10 feet and tap in their putt and walk off. I don't want to see that. I don't think that's the right direction for the sport. I think that we've moved away from enough woods golf already, just trying to be more viewer friendly. That, yeah, if that third shot on the par 5, the trees are too tight around it, well then throw your silly Heiser second shot, put it to the mouth of the gap, and then throw the short technical shot. But if you can't throw the big wide Heiser and you can't throw the tight wood shot,
you don't deserve to win.
What skills have you presented that you have what it takes to win and that you're a professional at your craft, right? You need one or the other, and magic happens when you have both.
I think there can be like an inertia of attitudes about a course. Like when you're out there doing a practice round and you're talking to people who are out on the course and maybe they're complaining about a hole or two and you had a rough hole, so you complain. And then it just sort of, you get this vibe of, oh, we don't like this course. That's kind of the impression that I got. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a couple of funky holes, and I bet if they went back there, they would probably tweak a couple of the holes just to, polish it up a little bit. But on the whole, I thought it played well and it was a fun watch.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did catch a little bit of the first round and a good portion of the second round, and I enjoyed it, watching them play it. Like you guys kind of alluded to, it's a more of an open course, but I feel like they used the trees very well in there and to make it more challenging. And yeah, I guess Paul Macbeth's comments kind of made it more entertaining to watch him the next round when he played 17 and 18. But he did not like those holes apparently, but also did not do very well on them. So I think that plays into it a little bit. But it was, overall in all, I enjoyed it myself. Yeah. One of the big things that happened, the grenade that Eagle threw. If you haven't heard about this, Eagle, if you don't know what a grenade is, it's, Jesse probably explained it better than I can. I've never thrown one in my life.
Try and throw a backhand drive with your disc upside down. Essentially, a lot of guys will hook their thumb on the inside of the rim and hook their finger over it. And what happens is when you throw it, it comes down very vertically. So it's like a tomahawk get out of trouble type shot. Like you'd throw an overhand without the side-to-side panning, and very straight drop. Even sometimes some lateral movement in the opposite way, like plate side down instead of coming out like it would Heiser. I have hit this mic stand. Never before. I've hit it 4 times tonight, and I haven't hit it in another podcast. This is driving me insane. Sorry. But yeah, that's the grenade. It landed on the camera guy's head. I don't know if he didn't see it.
Square on the top of his dome.
Yeah, because it was on the par 5 I was talking about with the tight wood shot, and Eagle was trying to go up and over the top. Camera guy was standing like circle's edge, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yep. Took the disc square in the top of the head. I don't know if he didn't see it, didn't hear it, or thought that because I can't see it, my chances of getting hit are just as big if I move as if I don't. I don't know.
I got the impression that nobody radioed to him that a grenade was coming in because he didn't have his camera pointed up looking for one. He had it pointed straight forward, like Eagle was going to skip it through up the gut. So it was just a failure of the camera crew, I think, to communicate. Or maybe Eagle just changed his mind on what he was going to throw at the last minute and they didn't have time. Whatever it was, he was not expecting a disc to come screaming in at 60 miles an hour from the sky.
I have this information somewhere. Shoot. Should have looked it up first. Johnny, the Smashbox host, had some information about what, like the real goings on. Definitely told me,
definitely
and I definitely forgot.
Yeah. I feel like he said it in the chat or on his podcast or something.
Yeah, it was in Discord.
Was it?
At least where I saw it. Yeah, and then they put a picture up. Did you guys see the picture?
Oh, of his head?
Yeah, like
yeah.
I don't know what that was, like a
Split.
dozen staples in the top of his head or more.
Yeah.
Get him back closed up.
Yeah. Ouchies. It was the sound for me. Like I was doing some work and I had it on the side, and then all of a sudden it sounded like the disc hit a tree, like someone hit. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like someone went full power into like a hollow tree right in front of them. That's what it sounded like. It was insane. And then all of a sudden he heard Ian go, "Oh no, I hope he's okay." I was like, "What? Wait, what happened?"
I think you're mistaking that for the holy shot call.
Same thing.
Pretty.
This was the unholy shot.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty nasty. Glad he's okay. As far as, I mean, hopefully he's probably concussed, I'm guessing, but as far as we know, he's okay. So.
Yeah.
Hey, is this a good time to segue to the fact that we might be looking to hire some catch cam operators this summer, Andre?
It's a perfect time to segue into that.
What's your health insurance like?
Yeah, well, we could probably supply a hard hat.
I will ensure that you're healthy.
Yeah.
But there is no insurance.
But it's a good reminder, we did buy radios specifically for that, so that catch cam is going to know, what kind of shots are coming in on blind shots. And that further cemented the need for that kind of thing, because the camera operators in disc golf stand way closer to the action than most other sports that I can think of.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some football photographers that have gotten it on the sidelines, but everyone else is in the stands or behind glass. Everyone else is pretty safe.
And usually when they're coming on the sidelines of football.
Yeah. They're standing there because they want to get that better shot. They're accepting they're going to get hit because they want that close up in. Yeah.
But like in ball golf, they just use good telephoto lenses and they stand way off.
Yeah.
Like 50, 60 feet off of the green. There isn't some guy standing there on the green, like hoping he doesn't get beamed in the top of the head.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing that it brings up is just like the safety of them, obviously. And there's been talks of having the like inserts or like the hard caps that you can get or something like that. And it's funny because it's such it's like a fluke that it happened. And if you have a cap on top of your head and someone doesn't throw a grenade into your face, like the cap's not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's a very specific fix for this very specific incident.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very specific set of parameters that caused it to happen, right? It's very blind. Like you can't see out of that little nook that the basket's in. He's going directly up and over and down on you where you can't even see the guy throwing, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just appeared out of nowhere. He had no chance to move. You move him 15 feet the other way, so the guy sees him up the gap. He's safe. I don't know.
And what are the chances that disc came down directly on that, like that one spot, like
square?
Yeah.
Well, at least it didn't rip his ear off.
That's
you
true.
Can patch up the top of your skull.
Gonna need a few
I'm
more
glad
staples.
That's the upside of this.
I wonder what other like major professional sports photographers think if they see disc golf and people literally standing in the field of play in danger, because it's getting hit on the head with a grenade is one thing, but like catch cam operators are getting hit on a somewhat regular basis. Like, do we just have to rethink how we do disc golf coverage?
I just think, like, I don't know what do they do for ball golf? They just have these crazy cameras that
they have
can
way
go
bigger, more expensive cameras.
Exactly. So until we get to that point, I just don't see it.
Well, they don't have vertical obstruction either, right? That's vertical obstruction that would stop you from seeing anything that's coming at you.
Yeah,
because I'm sure there's guys that have hit it 50 feet long of the green to where the telephoto lens is sitting. They're not perfect athletes either, but you also see it coming. You see it lining up. There's a very obvious route that the ball is moving. There's a lot more options in disc golf. I'm going to throw the flex. I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw the roller.
Well, and the discs are less predictable once they're in the air.
Yeah. Is this thing coming straight at my head, or is it about to do a little late flip and move off to the right, and I don't have to jump around like a crazy person?
Yeah.
And even if you know how discs fly, when you're seeing it from the catch cam perspective, it's way harder to get out of the way, because you're not used to seeing the end of a flight from the opposite side. of a disc, so you don't necessarily have that like inbuilt instinct of how that disc is going to fly.
Yeah, totally. When that fade starts coming, is it coming really hard and am I standing in the path, or is it just going to trickle out past me? Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Like,
Crazy.
what run of disc is that? You got it.
Yeah. How
many
beaten is this
seasons have you
destroyer?
been using this thing?
Yeah. Is that luster champion or regular champion?
Yeah. Cool. Well,
people do get hit by golf balls in the audience at ball golf tournaments and stuff too. So
Totally.
it's any of these sports where you have fans near the field of play, it's just there's always going to be some risk. People get hit by pucks at hockey games in the stands too, right?
Yeah.
I think
Definitely
Eagle
happens.
signed a disc and gave it to him, like the ball golf guys do with the gloves.
Yeah. Makes sense.
We'll never know.
I think he did do something for him.
I'm sure he felt terrible. Like the outcome there, if he was bleeding like immediately at the level of I
Yeah.
saw with the staples,
Yeah.
I'm sure Eagle and that card were the first people to phone medical and get him off the course because it was like pretty yikes.
Yeah. There was
Eagle said he had a good cry afterward, which was really refreshing to hear from a professional athlete. Like he was just shaken.
he
and
was
they stopped
super
play
shaken.
because of it. So yeah.
Probably
He
thought
knows
he
how
like,
hard he throws.
Yeah.
and probably thought he like very seriously injured this guy. If you
Oh,
got that
totally.
much blood and that much split,
Yeah.
trust me, I've had 5 concussions.
Yeah.
This thing's a little more fragile than you think it is, and he probably thought he, could have done
Did some
something that
serious
changed his
damage.
life,
For
But
sure.
not good.
Well, he managed that round specifically. He managed to get on lead card, so he obviously was able to channel maybe channel some of that energy, knowing he's okay. And I'm sure I do believe the gentleman came up to him and talked to him before he went in the ambulance and was like, "I'm just gonna guess that he said like, go win this one for me." Something like that. No?
This is going to be kind of like a Rocky story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, to wrap up the Open at
I don't know if
Austin.
I'd be so generous if I had got smoked in the head.
I want
I'd probably tell the rest of the
25%.
card, please go win this one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, to wrap up the Open at Austin, does the podcast bump continue here? Because it sounds like maybe last episode we had a dark horse that was mentioned and he pushed.
Almost won it. Like, to be
That's-
fair, he had a couple of bad holes at the end, but Austin,
Austin
Turner was it 12 down with a couple of holes to play, I think,
Yeah.
and he almost took it home from the third card. Was it third or fourth card?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, tied the hot
Unreal
round. I did hear it was very lefty friendly there. Mr. Turner is a lefty.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, maybe that played into it, my prediction, but let's not give away all of our secrets, Jesse.
Yeah. One secret per podcast. You
Yeah.
got to maintain some secrets.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. No, it's awesome to see. It was a great event. Another really close one at the top. There was going into the last round, there was a number of cards that were all in it coming into the final few holes. So awesome to see, and I hope that continues throughout the rest of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So, all right, we're going to take a second here to thank our sponsor, Disc Golf Park. Disc Golf Park is a unique disc golf course concept developed in Finland in 2005. It is based on the idea of building sports facilities in an environmentally friendly way. Disc Golf Park provides great experiences for players of all skill levels, from beginners to professionals. Our main ideology is to introduce disc golf to new audiences. There are several options to suit any kind of course, and all official disc golf parks include professional and safe course design, Disc Golf Park Pro targets, tee pads and tee signs, and an info board to welcome players to your course. The Disc Golf Park World concept consists of multiple courses designed for different types of players. Multi-golf is a new, fun activity for the whole family. In multi-golf, 3 forms of golf are played: foot golf, disc golf, and park-style pitch and putt. School Disc Golf Park offers students a new and exciting form of exercise for physical education classes. A course suitable for schools can be designed even in a small area, for instance, a schoolyard. Furthermore, the cost of school disc golf park are lower than those of regular disc golf parks. We also offer private and group lessons or clinics
For more information, check out the website at DiscGolfPark.com and request a quote today. Sign up for the Rusty Paddle and discover your own disc golf park.
Ooh.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that. A little add on the end there.
Yeah. You heard us talking a little bit before about the Rusty Paddle up in Parsons. Definitely go check it out. That's Matt Reardon. He designed that course. It's a disc golf park course. Very excited to play it. And shout out to Matty. He's running the Big Bear, which also, as we predicted, filled up within minutes of it. Yeah, registration opening. So definitely get on the wait list for that one if you can. All right, moving on. Texas swing continues. It's the Silver Series this week. The Innova Open, aka Texas States. I don't actually even know what the official name.
The official name is so long that it doesn't fit in the cell on the PDGA page.
Crazy. Yeah.
DGPT Silver, Innova Open at the 28th annual Texas State
In
Disc
Houston,
Golf
Texas.
Championships.
Wow.
Home to Wild Dogs.
Yeah. Apparently traded in their wild hogs for wild dogs. So
Yeah,
Two of my former
We're-
nicknames.
we're getting that insider reporting from our friend Max. Dangerous wild dogs around the players area. So if you think that Pro Tour life is glamorous, you got to go from dodging wild hogs to wild dogs.
and who knows, he might get a puppy out of it.
Yeah, a wild puppy.
I don't know much about this tournament. I'll probably tune in. I don't know if I'll catch it live, but I'll probably tune in some post produced coverage. Yeah. Are there any Canadians in the field there, Matt?
There are two Canadians. The aforementioned brand new Canadian, Max Regitnig, is down there. He's practicing.
Newly minted
And-
Max.
Newly minted Max. And on the FPO side of things, from British Columbia, I can't remember if she's
Ish.
from there originally or not.
Yeah, I think
She's proclaimed Squamish.
yeah.
Brianna Ainsley is down there playing, representing Canada as our lone FPO competitor this weekend. So we are all pulling for Brianna Ainsley down there this weekend.
Yeah.
Chantel Badinsky's time on tour is over or just taking a break? 'Cause
Probably
she was
taking a
our
break.
consistent FPO competitor for the beginning of the year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And no Tommy G either. I think he's headed back up to Canada this
I
week.
think so as well. Texas is pretty far from Canada, so I'm surprised that Brianna made the trip. I know she is out. She's been living out east for the last year or so, but
Yeah, I've spoken to her once. I just know she's living the van life and doing her thing. Thomas also probably not touring in a van or anything like that, so he probably just flies home, flies in, does the Airbnb thing.
yeah,
Easier to get off and on of the tour when your house isn't parked at the course.
totally.
Totally.
Yeah, Brianna's she's played on a few big events in the States before, I think, right? She's not really a stranger to the
No, definitely not a stranger to that type of stuff.
Yeah, and I gotta watched her play at the River City Cup a couple years ago now. But it's kind of cool to watch her. And I was taking photos at that point, so yeah. Go Brianna,
Yay, go Brianna.
go Max.
Go Max. See, I did my part.
Nice. Tune into that this weekend if you want to watch. Yeah, Texas.
Central
Golf.
Coast has the post-produced, I believe.
That is correct.
More Ian.
Or yeah.
Nice.
All right. Let's get into a little fantasy minute. We kind of talked about him a little bit earlier, but I was going to talk about James Proctor and how he's been a bit of a steal
Oh,
this
great
year.
value.
So my question to you guys is, and I'm pretty sure Brett has him in our league. So my question is to you guys is, if you have him on your team, is now the time to trade him
Do you think his value's at a high, or is it something that you think he'll be able to consistently keep this up for the rest of the tour?
Staring at me. It's hard to call. I know James is a school teacher, or was a school teacher, and maybe wasn't getting a lot of tournament time in years gone by. He might have been sneakily this good and was just playing on like an unpracticed, unscheduled environment the whole time. Or he's having the run of his life, and it might be
new discs this year too, I think, right?
Yeah, new discs.
He's vibing with them.
I really hope I didn't botch the vanilla gorilla thing, because if he is truly said gorilla, I want him to win everything. But yeah, man. I in like my knowledge of James in the past, it's trade time.
Yeah,
but this year the decisions are a little harder.
Yeah.
It's tough because I think he's committed himself to full-time touring this year.
Yeah, I think so. Summer. Yeah.
And he was sort of like up there with Scott Withers as like the best player who wasn't really on tour full time for the last couple of years. Like he would show up and he would place well and he'd get on coverage in the handful of events that he played. So it's totally believable that he's just that good, and he's finally decided to commit to tour. So you know what? I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to say, hold on to him, and if nobody's picked him in your pool, for God's sakes, pick him up.
Yeah, but get that waiver.
I imagine he's probably not missing in a lot of these pools.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll be a good guy to at least have on the bench, even if he does fall off a little bit, especially the way our league works, because I did want to bring up this little tip as well, is to check your rosters, because it's a Silver Series event this weekend. The way that our league runs is there's not a lot of room for error. So we only have one bench spot for MPO and FPO. So if you have two of your main players that aren't playing in a Silver Series, you have to make the tough call on which one to drop. So something to think about. So check your rosters, check who's playing, and then check on that note, just make sure that next week you check the waiver wire, because this is the time to check for players that may have been dropped that have value. So
I hate you. I had to drop a grade player because I've got 4 players that aren't playing the tournament. And if you have not enough players to fill the roster, you get the worst possible score for the non-playing player.
Yes.
So
I got bit by that because we had the whole the DNF. I had Bradley Williams DNF'd, but I don't remember who. I had someone in my bench that didn't play, so I had the worst possible number last week.
All right, Jesse. I think you were talking about maybe dumping Greg Barsby off your roster. And I'm going to pick him as my dark horse for this week in Austin. He's a Texas guy now. I think he's going to play well. I'll trade you Luke Sampson for Greg Barsby, who you said you were just going to drop. You were dissatisfied with him. And I'm offering you a young, up-and-coming professional in the name of Luke Sampson.
Yeah.
What do you say?
To be a little bit more than a Luke Sampson, unfortunately.
Luke Sampson and future considerations.
Draft pick for next year.
My present considerations are no. Because he's one of my few players that are playing right now. Because he is playing in Texas. He is at home. And I had the same thoughts. I left him playing over other players. And he has played really poorly in Texas. It's kind of unfortunate. He missed cash in the first event. And this last weekend, I think he just barely cashed, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tough. He's 23rd at Las Vegas, so he did okay in Las Vegas. 87th at Waco.
Yeah, that's
64th in Austin.
Yeah, not great. And the one tournament I didn't play him for was Vegas, and I did play him for the other two, thinking the same thing you were saying, that back at home in Texas he's going to play well.
And yet you're going to hold on to him.
Yeah, I need to fill up my roster. Is Samson even signed up for this?
Yeah, he signed up for it. I wouldn't lie to you. I wouldn't try and pull a fast one on you like that. All right.
I'll talk to you later about it.
Okay.
Right.
Greg Barsby is my dark horse pick for this weekend, and we'll see. Will the streak of podcast bump be over this weekend? Only time will tell.
Yeah. Do you have any dark horse picks for this weekend? Or
trying to have a real hard think about this. And again, who's playing? Like I could say someone that I think has been playing well, and they're not even on the roster. I'm trying to think of who would be like a real good breakout at this tournament. You know what? I'm gonna cop out, and I'm gonna say Max stocks go up. I'm not saying Max is winning the tournament, but he's on a steady climb since his first showing in Waco. I think Max finishes. He's what, 44th? Let's put him at 34th. Like he's going up the list.
It's funny because I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, man, I just keep getting bit by this, like not having the player on the bench to like fill your roster spot in case of a DNF. And I was like, why don't I just pick up Max, keep him on my bench because he's going to be at every single event, and then that's a good backup. That's a good bench. But player.
Max is going to Europe and he's skipping 3 events.
Oh, there you go.
So I talked you out of it.
I guess so. My dark horse is going to be on the FPO side. It's not really a dark horse, but I like Colin Hanley this week. I think she's been doing really well. She picked it up towards the end of the last at the Open. So I think Colin's going to do really well this week in Houston. So
I wouldn't consider that a dark horse. That's more like a bright fluorescent white painted horse.
All right. What about
3rd in Las Vegas and 5th in Austin?
What about Holly Finley?
That is a dark horse.
Okay. With all of her southern charm fitting in there.
Yes, I'll go with Holly as my from Holland to Holly.
Because my FPO pick would probably be Sai. Is it Adana?
Yeah. But even that, Amanda. Like. She's up and cut. She's playing super well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see
one
how
top
she
10.
does.
Yeah, do great in Las Vegas or Waco. So,
but like I said, the stocks are rising. Maybe that was the performance she needed for the confidence. She's going to play well.
Yeah,
I hope so because I just picked her up in fantasy.
Yeah, FPO is one thing I don't have a problem with. So I feel like I got 3 capable players. All right.
It's also been all over the place this year. It's been interesting.
A lot of what's the word? Parody?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're trying to describe, so I don't know if that's the word.
Yeah, parody's the word.
Parody's the word. There's a lot of parody in the league or in the Disc Golf Pro Tour right now, which is great. It's great to see. Yeah. Cool. That's
it's kind of strange to call it a parody. I find it quite serious.
Yes. Nice.
It's spelled different.
Yes.
It's a different word entirely.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll take this off here.
All right. And then just going back to last episode, we did get a message from TK, Thomas Kuhn, about the payouts for MPO versus MP40. Mm-hmm. And he said, he explained it a little bit more. And what he wanted us to really chat about was he's basically wondering if it's wise to draw good players away from the MPO using that cash when, you should be trying to keep the best of the best in MPO as opposed to having those players go up to MP40.
Before we have a nuanced discussion about this, I will just interject with, are you a man?
I don't understand.
Do you not have the guts? Are you chicken?
Of what?
That's my argument.
Oh, he wants people to go on MPO.
Oh, yeah. That's the argument to go on MPO.
Are you gonna like be 80 years old on your deathbed and sitting? Man, I'm so glad that I placed second in MP40 at that tournament, instead of trying to do something exciting and meaningful with my life and taking on the best of the best, the Open division.
Yeah, but I mean, at that note, I think I feel pretty comfortable with an MP40 win over playing. If I got an MP40 win in an A tier, and I didn't, instead of finishing 6th or whatever it would be in MPO, I don't know.
It will depend. That's the thing. I think this is very much like a specific Western Canada issue with the field sizes.
Totally.
We aren't bringing in a bunch of 15 to 19-year-olds that are just killing it, and they're at a place in MPO that doesn't seem attainable for the guys that are aging a little bit. In a perfect world, this isn't a problem because MPO registration is like double MP40 at big tournaments. Like I said, this is very much a local
I had to
issue.
request to move from MP40 into MPO at a tournament because there was 2 of us in MP40 and like 30 MPO players.
Yeah.
It's more often how it goes.
And in that case, all that money is an MPO, and there is almost no money. You get a bigger share of like the added cash, and so your field of 2, like, yeah, I got $250 for beating one person. But if there's that much added cash, that MPO side is like, yeah, I got $1,500 and I beat 35 people. Like I said, it's a very, very specific issue. And then it's also for TK's thing, it's just a personal feeling and also where you're at the game. You know what? When I'm 40, based on how of a grumpy turd I am now, there's no way I want to play with young people. When I'm 43, I am straight into MP40, playing with all my 40 plus buddies, not dealing with all the other stuff, still have a chance at winning some cash. But that's also a more casual take at the game, where I think if you're at the top of MPO skill, even if you're aging to 40, then that's a challenge you put on yourself. Do I walk all over these MP40 guys, take my money and go home? Or do I battle it out for a lead card spot, assuming you're that level? Thomas clearly is.
And Thomas certainly is not a grumpy turd. That man is a very nice man.
Thomas has always been grumpy with me. What are you talking about? Thomas told us to get our dates up for Rusty and for Raven's Nest in like November because he was grumpy that he couldn't get his schedule figured out. And people need to schedule this, Yeah, I remember Thomas. I wouldn't say he's a grumpy turd. That's a bit aggressive, but takes himself seriously enough.
Well, that's why he's playing MPO.
Totally. And like I said, it's an accomplishment thing. If you want to play against the stronger guys, you feel like you're competitive in that division. MP40 is a place where MPO old dogs go to die, with being a little disrespectful there. But it's a place where you can still be competitive when you're maybe not that half step better.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's about the money, dude, no one in Western Canada is getting rich off disc golf. Like, I get it, $400 difference in a first place for one division versus the other. I'm not saying no.
If it pays for your weekend trip or not pays for your weekend trip, that is a consideration.
It's a consideration for sure.
Especially if you got to, come home to, a partner that's sick of your disc golf crap.
Yeah, that part.
It's kind of nice to be able to say, "Hey, baby, groceries are on me this week." I did it.
Yeah,
I
did it. But
a bunch of 46-year-olds.
Yeah, things like that. But like I said, going back and forth, it's a tough thing in our specific area.
Yeah,
but it's not.
And that one tournament was like that. That is an old school tournament. That's been around for a long time, and all the old school players make sure to play it. So
yeah, I'm very excited to see how that division kind of starts to fill up a little bit more as the sport gets more and more popular in Canada as well. Because I feel like even in the last 2 or 3 years, you start seeing these MP40 divisions fill up even more, and even like even at C tier levels, you're seeing the spread of what people are playing is kind of filling out. There's not like 50. We'll use Big Bear as an example. Like, he had to set caps on every single division because there's so much interest at all different kinds of levels. So I'm very excited to see where that.
And there's a ton of interest in intermediate level disc golf as well. I am sure you could fill Big Bear with just MA2.
Oh, 100%.
That division around here, boom, snap, it's done. So you need to kind of protect the other divisions. But what I was going to say is that I brought up last year's Raven's Nest tournament. 5K added cash. By the time I've processed all the dropouts, 99 players. Total purse in USD, $5,400. First place, MPO, $950. Division of 22. MP40, division of 6, paid out $450. You got double the money, more than double the money, but you also had to take on a division that was 4 times bigger.
Yeah.
There is some interesting math to deal with there. Because am I going to end up agreeing with Thomas after all this? 6th place in MPO paid out. Nope, that's not the right one. So 3rd place, which was unaccepted technically, in MPO paid out 1st place in MP40. But you know what? The scores were almost the same. That's, you know what?
No way.
The MP40 score, that's funny. The MP40 score was 5 strokes better than MPO. But also that 5 strokes wasn't enough to bump them into 2nd place either. So
crazy.
The way I look at it, if I was as good a disc golfer as Thomas Kuhn, I wouldn't be on this podcast.
Yeah, right.
But if I was
here
that good,
you are.
My attitude is like, I'm going to go and I'm either going to play a good tournament or I'm going to play a bad tournament. And if I play a really good tournament, like I hit all the putts, all the shots are going well, I'm going to have a chance to win. And I'd rather that would be an MPO. Like it would be more exciting and be more fun. I'd feel like I really accomplished something.
Yeah.
But I'm not. And for me, I've cashed an MP40 and it felt great because that's an accomplishment for, somebody at my level.
Yeah.
So
playing
it's
to your own standards.
whatever you're going to like walk away with that good feeling afterward. There's really no wrong answer.
I was going to say, just straight to Thomas's original point that we talked about last week, is looking at that, the MP40 winning score, where it would have fit in the lineup, paid out the exact same amount, but also didn't win the division and didn't have the same upside to it.
Yeah.
I think that's appropriate and kind of normal.
Yeah, I have the feeling that's a lot of the time how it would work, especially with more and more good players in these age-protected divisions coming through.
I'd actually be really curious to get Thomas's actual opinion on this, and because I know he still plays MPO, and I'd be curious to know.
Do I have his phone number? I'll call him up right now.
And that's the kind of segment only our Patreons are going to see, folks. So you're just going to have to use your imagination of what Thomas Kuhn told us over the phone, and it was fascinating.
Oh,
Sign up for Patreon today. Patreon.com/parkedpro.
There you go. For as little as $1 a month. $1.50?
I thought it was $1.50.
About 50, I think. For as little as American dollar.
Are we losing the... Well, okay, I'm
We're
wasting
losing
more
mojo.
time, but we are losing the currency game that hard now?
I think it's been like... I think that's just the numbers that Patreon put on. But yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh, boy. Hey, strong American economy is a strong Canadian economy.
Yeah. American dollar will go further on our Patreon than it will a Canadian. So if we have any American listeners, sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah, it's like 83 cents for you to sign up. Do it.
Yeah. And we appreciate all our patrons as well. I don't have anything else for this podcast. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
Not that I can think of. I had like a fun question for the listeners again, like a real weird Jesse one, and I forgot it.
All right. Write it down next time.
Oh, actually, I do got one.
There we go.
Oh, it's not a question. Matt, I had the hiccups yesterday, and you know what I did?
Man. Did you stop it with your mind?
These are fake as heck. Hiccups aren't real. Instantly stopped. Didn't hiccup again. I don't know if it's just coincidence. I don't know if it's coincidence, but dang, dude, it worked.
There you go.
Mind over matter with the hiccups. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
Nice.
Glad to hear. Glad to hear.
Yeah, and if you're curious about what that was, go back and listen to our basketball hiccups, and I don't remember.
You put it in the title so you can actually find it.
Yeah, basketball hiccups and something else. What do they have in common? That's the episode we talk about hiccups. There you go. There's a follow-up. I'll try next time as well. So awesome. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thank you guys again for doing this podcast.
A pleasure as usual.
All right. Matt?
From all of us here at Parked Pro, thanks. Really, thanks for listening. Tell a friend, please. For the love of God, tell 2 friends if you're feeling generous. Please tell people.
Comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. But mostly just tell people, hey, this Parked Pro thing's all right.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.